Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing fantastic, man. It's Tuesday at 9 a.m. That's right. That means it's time for Tuesday training. I am here with you as always, live here from Austin, Texas, right here in Insurance Syndicate headquarters. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Pardon me there. A little gloomy here in Austin. We got some liquid sunshine coming down, but definitely going to be a great day. Got a little interesting topic that I wanted to talk about with you guys today in personal development. Something that we've been doing here in Insurance Syndicate headquarters with our teams is every Monday morning, every Friday morning, we kick off the day with some personal development training at 8 a.m. About 30, 45 minutes of it. We all work together. We pick some topics that we run through. Joe talks about maybe a topic, I do, and then some of our team chimes in. It's a very participative meeting. And we've all really bought into the idea of continuing to challenge ourselves and grow. So again, twice a week, we are personally working on these meetings. And whether we're talking about growth skills specific to our industry, sales skills, et cetera, product knowledge, blah, 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 or, more abstract development items. And as we've been going through some of those exercises, I've been going back through some of my old materials, and I stumbled across some material that I have from Jim Rohn. And if you don't know Jim Rohn, you should get to know him. He is definitely from the old school group of speakers, sales trainers, motivators, etc. A lot of the newer group of those guys were definitely using him as a mentor. He's been around a long time. He was originally trained by Zig Ziglar. So he goes way back, but phenomenal dude, great content, great material. He's got some excellent books out there. I would definitely encourage you to check out some of his material. But I stumbled across this guide, basically his guide to personal development, and wanted to share it with you guys here today. So that's what we're going to dive into. There's not a ton of exciting news out there, but I got a couple of news articles I'm going to share. And then we will jump into it. But a couple of other quick announcements. Next week, there will be no Tuesday training. Most likely, I will be at the Medicare Con event in Las Vegas. If time permits, I might do something live from Las Vegas there. But as it stands at the moment, the way the schedule looks, I won't do a live Tuesday training. We'll probably just replay a previous recording that we've done in the past that was good. That'll still bring you some value. So just want to kind of make that. And again, I want to apologize for the posting in the group. For some reason, StreamYard still has our account because Grace and I share an account. Similar to how Joe and I used to share an account when we first started this stuff. And it still has her name continued to attach to it. I've cleared cookies. I've logged in, logged out, done everything I can. But when I post a video, it's still showing that it's coming from Engracia. But that is definitely me right here, live for your viewing pleasure. So I hope it's not preventing people from getting in here and getting some of the value that we're dropping. But we will work on fixing that and get this thing posted in my name. I'm not sure what the issue is. And just honestly, I haven't had a ton of time to dive into it. But I will work on getting that fixed with StreamYard. But nonetheless, the show goes on, as they say, right? And speaking of show going on, this show, as always, is sponsored by my friends over at MetaZeus. Great platform. And speaking of MetaZeus, they have done something outstanding for the Invictus conference. For those of you that are attending Invictus, certainly look forward to seeing you there. For those of you that are like, what the hell is Invictus? Well, it is the one and only, the first and only Spanish language insurance conference open to the public for agents of all backgrounds. Whether you're in the Medicare space, the life insurance space, the annuity space, the P&C space, doesn't matter. We will have people from all lines of business there talking and discussing success strategies and things that they do in their business to help them grow, be profitable, and, well, run a business. So it is a value-packed conference, and MetaZeus has done something very nice, as I was saying. They came out as a sponsor and bought 100 general admission tickets, and they are giving them out to the public, anybody that wants them. I think a little over half of them have already been claimed. But if you are out there and you're like, hey, I want to go to Invictus, but maybe the $297 VIP ticket price doesn't fit your budget, which really isn't that much, to be honest with you. If you're in the Medicare space, that's one replacement app. If you're in the life insurance space, shoot, that's a really low premium final expense app. So it is a low ticket price. VIP is $297. That gets you all the works, all the food, the VIP parties, the extra little niceties that we put on it. But for $47, you can get in the room general admission, or, well, you can claim one of MetaZeus's free tickets and get in the room for free. And that will get you access to all the breakouts, all the information, all the networking. You're just going to have to be on your own for lunch and some of the dinner stuff. So no big deal there, but super kind of them to come out and throw that out for us. So thank you, MetaZeus, and I surely hope that all 100 people take advantage of that and get into the room. We've already sold out the hotel. There are no more rooms open at the moment. We're trying to get another room block open, but at the moment, it looks like there are none available. That may or may not change, but as it stands at the moment, the room block is sold out. So there are some adjacent hotels you can jump into. But other than that, just get yourself in the room. It's going to be at the Royal Sonesta, May 1st through 3rd. And we certainly hope to see you there. If you need one of those free tickets, hit me up and I'll make sure that you have the little MetaZeus link that you can use to register and take advantage of their free ticket. But moving on, I found one really good article that I did want to share with you guys real quick. This is from Kaiser Family Foundation. You guys know I talk about Kaiser Family Foundation all the time. A phenomenal group, I guess I should say, or website to Inflation Reduction Act, right? The pressure, the reduction in subsidy that Medicare is giving to Medicare Advantage and drug plans this year. All of that weight is going to come down on these plans over the next couple of years, and we're going to see reduced benefits. We're going to see increased cost on the plan premiums. All of this is coming. So just buckle your seatbelts because the price of Medicare all around is going up. All right, let me just recap super fast, right? Right here, this article is about Medicare spending for the Alzheimer's drug Leqembi. Price is going up. They expect it to cost original Medicare $550 million this year. The entire Medicare program, $3.5 billion next year. Leqembi is a very expensive Alzheimer's drug. So that article I'm going to put in the group. Y'all can check that one out. And then obviously this Kaiser Family Foundation article that I put up here goes through Medicaid unwinding. So I'll put this article in the group. I'm not going to go back through all the details that I went through, but it's going to go through Medicaid unwinding for next year, or it talks about the survey of Medicaid unwinding and kind of where it's at. A lot of people experiencing problems. It goes through the key takeaways. Like in this article, you'll see a report that says, hey, about half of people that have gone or had to go through the Medicaid unwinding process didn't even know about it. Half of Medicaid enrollees said, we didn't know anything about Medicaid unwinding. It surprised us. And then finally, it goes through, and the other big piece that's in this article says that of the people that were or that are going through the redetermination process, about a quarter, about 1 in 5% of the people that have lost their Medicaid are still uninsured. That is millions of people. So there is a big market out there. I would think a savvy agent in the ACA market would create a great ad that targets these people about Medicaid unwinding and, hey, help them get qualified for a subsidy or whatever they can do to get an ACA plan and get coverage, because you've got millions of people that lost Medicaid and don't have any coverage now. They're completely without it. So those articles are what I was talking about. I apologize that I dropped the audio on that. My fault. But I will get these in the group and y'all can talk about them. But with that said, I want to jump into our topic for today. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk a little about personal development. I found this guide that was in some old materials that I have from Jim Rohn. I used to read a lot of Jim Rohn. I got quite a few of his books, and I found these excellent little mini guides that he puts together on different topics. And since we've been focused on doing a lot of personal development here in our office, this guide was super helpful, and I wanted to share it with some of you guys, right? Because personal development is, in my opinion, it's one of those things that should not be taken lightly, right? A mentor has been said to say, I should say, learn to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do your job. So whether you work for someone, you work for yourself, you run a business, whatever it is, this says basically that you should work harder on your own personal development versus what you're putting into your business, which is kind of interesting, but I don't disagree. Because the truth is, the business of personal development lasts a lifetime. We should always be learning to develop ourselves, because the fact is, what you become is way more important than what you get out of life, right? What you become is way more important than what you get. And what you become ultimately directly influences what you get, right? What you become is going to influence what you get. So everything that you have today, you have attracted by becoming the person that you are right now. Everything that you have is a result of the decisions and processes that you've been doing for the last X number of years. So if you don't like where you're at now or what you've become now, well, you need to realize that, well, I'm here because of years of decision making that have put me in this spot. So don't play the victim mentality. Understand that you're the one that made these decisions to get you here, for better or worse. Own it. Not a big deal. Now move forward and understand that, again, what you become is going to directly influence what you get. So if you want to have more than what you've got, well, you've got to become more than what you are. Fairly simple. So personal development is definitely one of those things that I think should be taken very seriously, because it doesn't matter whether you want to develop better skills for the marketplace, right? Become a better insurance agent, learning your products better, your sales skills better, your processes better, or if you're just looking to navigate life in general at a better pace, right? Or with less stress, less anxiety, then again, personal development is something that you should take very serious, and we're taking it serious here. So first thing, there's three primary areas of personal development. Number one is spiritual. I am not here to take you to church, but I do believe that humans are much more than just an extension of the animal species, right? I believe that we are definitely something very unique. So whatever your belief is within the spiritual context, I would encourage you to study it, develop it, learn about it, challenge it, right? Challenge your belief system and make sure that it holds water and is true, but develop that within yourself. The second area of personal development is physical. Now, considering that your physical being, this bag of flesh and bones, is something to house your spiritual being, then it should make sense to take care of it, right? So, and speaking from experience, like I've been on both sides of that coin. I have been physically unhealthy, overweight, and mentally unhappy and spiritually unhappy. And I have been on the opposite side of that coin, where I'm living right now, physically healthy. I lost a ton of weight. I feel better. I'm eating better. I've got more energy. I can think clearer. I feel like my spiritual being is humming a lot better. And then that pushes to the third level as well, mental, which I'll jump into. But the fact is, if you treat your body like it's an amusement park, right, you're going to wear it down, and it will not perform for you optimally when you want it. So what are you feeding your body? What are you drinking? What are you eating? Are you getting the right rest? Are you exercising and putting in reps to train it, to keep its strength up, right? Or are you just laying in bed all day, letting muscle atrophy happen, and eventually lead yourself to becoming a vegetable, I guess. So I'm not saying that you got to jump into something like a 75 hard or go ballistic, but pay attention to what you're doing to your physical body to maintain it. We already know, like, it's no big secret that our bodies get older and break down over time, right? This is one of the things that we all talk about in the health and life insurance space. Is like, look, let's face it, Mr. Jones, you might be healthy today, but you're probably not going to be healthy 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So it's important that you take certain steps to be prepared for that, right? We talk about it as agents all the time, but then we go around the corner and we feed our body garbage and we don't take care of it. So understand that your physical health is definitely going to take better care of your spiritual health, and it'll also take care of the third area of personal development, your mental health, right? And I believe that good spiritual and good physical health certainly spur good mental health. They all kind of go hand in hand. But what are you doing to stretch your mind? Are you doing things to exercise it, right? Are you challenging it by learning new skills? Like, I'm in this weird space right now where I feel like I'm overloaded with things that I'm trying to learn, because I'm in a new space, right? For 13 years, I've been working in the corporate world of insurance in the wholesale space. I was responsible for sales, distribution, and relationships, but I wasn't responsible for the technology tools. I wasn't responsible for what budgeting and the economics of the business and the marketing and all of that stuff. I was responsible for a couple of things. Hey, product distribution and relationships with agents and coaching and training our team. That was it. And now I'm in this new space running a new business right alongside my partner, my wife. We're hiring new employees. We're growing. We're doing other things that I haven't had to do before, learning technology systems that I'm working with and learning how to communicate with those people to develop tech. My mind is being stretched and challenged on a daily basis. And I will be honest, there's been some moments where it has been a bit overwhelming. And I've had to step back and go, wait a second, I need a break. I got to remove myself from all of these new challenges that I'm learning and dealing with so that I can sort them out and learn to attack them better. But again, that question is, let me say it again, what are you doing to stretch your mind, right? Are you challenging your mind to learn new skills, new topics? Are you reading material? And if you're reading, are you reading fiction or are you reading nonfiction? And I'm okay if you want to go out and entertain yourself, but let's be really clear that there's two different types of information when it comes to either reading or even taking in video content. There's fiction, which is nothing but entertainment. It's mind candy, right? And then there's nonfiction, whether it's a podcast, a documentary, or a book or an audio tape, something that you want to listen to. Fiction or nonfiction. Nonfiction is going to stretch your mind, give you new topics, help you grow, and help you learn. So what are you spending your time pouring into your brain? Similar to how are you feeding your physical body? Are you feeding it good foods? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough rest? Are you taking care of your physical mind or physical body? Are you taking care of your mind as well by feeding it good information? Or are you just eating garbage all the time? Right? And if you think about your mind like a CRM, right? If you have a CRM out there as part of your business, you already know that garbage in equals garbage out, right? If you don't properly get good information in your CRM so that you can manage your book of business, it's going to be tough to manage and you're going to get garbage out. The same thing with your mind, man. If you're feeding it with garbage, it's going to regurgitate garbage. So what do you want it to regurgitate? That's up to you to decide. I'm not here to tell you. But if you want to regurgitate great information, if you want to regurgitate knowledge, success, growth, and development, well, you need to feed it with that same type of information, right? Couple of points that Jim Rohn gives and a couple of tips on how to help stretch your mind is, number one, learn the other side of the argument. That's scary, right? Learn the other side of the argument. I kind of like to argue and debate. It's because it's something that I did in college. I was on the debate team and so forth. So I always appreciate a good argument. And there's definitely a lot to be said of really learning the other side of the argument. Because if all you do is learn one, let's say, for example, Medicare, right? There's a whole group of agents out there that believe that Medicare supplements are the only way you should ever go. And it's the best health coverage anybody should ever get. There's another group of agents out there that only believe Medicare Advantage is the right product that you should have. And it's the best health care you can get if you are on Medicare, right? So you got two groups of agents that are bickering over it. And a lot of times you'll see it in some of these different Medicare forums that are out there. You'll see agents going back and forth. Oh, Medicare supplements the only way to go. Well, Medicare Advantage is the only way to go. And then they start bickering each other. Next thing you know, they're name calling and so forth. But how about instead, if you're the guy that believes that Medicare supplements are the only way to go, how about challenging your argument and learn the other side? Why do these people believe that Medicare Advantage is a better opportunity than Medicare supplement? Where does that make sense? And then for the guys that believe Medicare Advantage is the only way to go, learn the other side of the argument. Maybe why did they believe Medicare supplement is the only way to go? Why did they believe it's better? And I'm using that as just a very simple analogy, but in any given argument or topic, like, learn the other side of the argument. That's going to stretch your mind and help you understand the whole topic way better. The second tip he gives you is to develop a good library of material, right? Do you have a set of books that you can read? Do you develop that library? Do you have a library on your phone of audio books and materials? Are you following the right people on social media, whether it's podcast, YouTube, Spotify, etc., that you're listening and taking in content, right? That is all part of your library. So keep your library clean. And I'll give you a great example. I've had a Facebook account since I think 2014 or 15. I was not on Facebook until about 10 years ago or so. Wasn't interested at all. When I got into Facebook, one of the first things I did is I went and connected with a lot of my family that's distant, right? My whole Wallace family. And that was the reason that got me on Facebook in the first place, was that I found out that our Wallace family, which is very sizable and has an annual family reunion, had built their own Facebook group so that we can all communicate with each other, find out who's doing what in the Wallace family, maybe find out who passed away, find out what new babies are in the family, etc. And it was an easy way we could communicate. That was the only reason I got on Facebook, because I could care less otherwise, at least at the time. Now, when I got onto Facebook, I hooked up with all of them. What's the next thing you do? You start finding some of your friends that are on Facebook and reconnecting with them. And other people that I like to follow, local musicians, friends, etc., people that I play Kung Fu with, right? I looked them all up and got them in my network pretty quick. Then 2017 rolls around, or 2016 and 17, or 2016, yeah. And the very divisive election of that year comes around. And now Facebook had become this cesspool of garbage that I hated logging into because I was blasted with it. Well, it wasn't Facebook. It was all the people that I was following on Facebook. And I was allowing them to sit there and just blast me with nothing but divisive content about that election. And was it Clinton or was it Trump or it's this or that, right? Whatever the information is. And it was hateful. It was divisive. It was not good for me. And in 2016, like, I was not in the best mental place, truthfully, because when I would log in with Facebook, I was barraged with it. It didn't take me too long to realize, oh, wait a second. I have complete, because I was new to Facebook. I didn't understand it all. But I was like, oh, I have complete control over this. All I have to do is go unfollow all these people that are screaming and yelling and bickering and putting out divisive rhetoric and garbage content. Just unfollow them completely. I didn't block them. I didn't unfriend some of them. I did some, but I definitely unfollowed a lot of them because I don't want to see that content. I'm not interested in people just yelling negativity and divisive information at me, right? Puts me in a bad mood. I'm not taking care of it, right? This is another example of your library of good material to put into your brain and feed it. And then eventually I started finding better people to follow on Facebook. Now, if you look at my Facebook feed, it is nothing but good information, positive information, and comedy, because that's what I like. I want positivity and laughs. So if you look at my Facebook page, you could say I'm a little bit in an echo chamber, maybe, because I'm heavily connected with a lot of insurance people on Facebook. So my Facebook feed is loaded with insurance content. A lot of it's informative, positive, right? But I have other people that I'm following that are very uplifting, that put out good material, things that I know are not going to be divisive and put me in a negative frame of mind. So again, develop a good library material that you're feeding your brain with. Now, next he goes over the 4 steps of success in personal development, right? So these first things that I talked about were, again, the 3 areas of personal development: spiritual, physical, mental, right? Those are the 3 areas that we can learn to develop ourselves. Now there's the 4 steps to personal development, or 4 steps to success in personal development. Number 1 is good ideas, right? Good ideas are the lifeblood of any entrepreneur, right? Everybody that's out there that's been an entrepreneur, the reason they did it is because some idea sparked in their brain, right? Give you an example. We're sitting there during COVID in 2020. My wife's out of work. All of her friends are out of work. 25 million people out of work. And then she sees me stuck in a room, Tony and all of his little insurance buddies still working and making money. What happens? Bing! She sparks an idea. Maybe I can get into insurance. Maybe I can build a business in insurance to take care of my Latino community, right? So the lifeblood of any good entrepreneur starts with a good idea. So because of that, you should never stop learning. You should always push your quest for knowledge so that good ideas can spark, right? And ultimately, finding a good idea can be life-changing. Grace is another great example. Her life is completely changed. Her family's life back in Colombia is changed because she had a good idea, right? And I'm of the belief that, see, how do I say this properly without being overly weird about it? But hey, this is Austin, so I am supposed to be a little weird. I believe that good ideas exist, or any idea, good or bad, technically, kind of exist and float around in our universal consciousness. They're not really thought of right here. They're thought of in the overall universal consciousness that we're all tied into. I know it's abstract. And then it takes some person to eventually realize it, attach to it, pull it out of ether, and then do something with it. And that's where step 2 in success and personal development comes from. And that's good plans, right? Having a good idea is one thing, but then you have to execute it, because a good idea is only a good idea. It's worthless if we don't put it into action, if we don't create a plan and put it into action, right? So opportunity without good plans put into action is going to miss all of the worth and the wealth that you could have, right? So if you come up with a good idea and you're like, man, this is great, I've got to put it into action. So again, I'm going to go back to Grace on this, because what she's done, I think, follows right into this. She had a great idea. Hey, I want to get into insurance. I think I have the skill set. I want to affect change for the Latino community. I want to affect change for my family in Colombia. Okay, there's the idea. The next thing that she did was she planned it out. How exactly do I want to go about this? What do I want to accomplish, or how am I going to do these things and put this idea into action? And certainly I helped her with some of those planning, but that was the next step, right? The third step to success when it comes to personal development is the passing of time, right? Patience is part of success, right? Or part of success is patience. We have the idea, we build and we execute our plan, but then we have to kind of wait for it to come to fruition, because it's not just going to happen like that, right? You're going to have some patience and let it take fruition. It's kind of like an old farmer's analogy. They plant seeds, and the crops don't just spring up where they can go harvest them and make money. They have to have patience to see their plan through, right? And this is definitely true in our space too, where we're growing businesses. And I'll take a really simple example, but let's say Facebook ads or any marketing. But I'll definitely Facebook ads, because that's something that I've really become ultimately familiar with in the last couple of years that I've been practicing it. But Facebook ads, for example, you can set your ad, you create the greatest ad out there, turn it on, and it's not just going to start producing leads for you on day one. It's going to take it some time. Like Facebook even tells you it takes 2 weeks on average for their system to even learn the ad so that they can send it to the right people and optimize it, right? So you have to have some patience to let that ad run and come to fruition to start producing results. If you don't have patience and you pull it too early, you make an adjustment too early, well, you're not going to get any results out of it, because it's just not going to work that way. That's the same thing in your business, man, and your plan. Whatever your good idea is, create your good plan to put it into action, and then have the patience to wait and see it through and measure results. The fourth step to success in personal development is learning to be a good problem solver, or just solving problems, right? Ultimately, that's what success is. Ultimately, success is just simply solving problems all the time. If you don't like solving problems, then getting into your own business may not be the best thing for you. But the truth is, it doesn't matter if it's business problems, family problems, emotional problems. Everybody's got problems. My problems have problems, right? We all have problems. So if you can become a great problem solver, you're going to find much better success in any facet of your life. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to be willing to learn to solve the problems, period. And when it comes to business, and I've said this before, your income is directly related to the size and frequency of problems you solve. If you want a very big, very successful business, you need to learn to solve big problems as frequently as possible. Very simple, right? In any of those categories. So get cracking, Mr. Problem Solver. Now he goes through some tips. There's some tips on how to be a good problem solver. Number one, put the problem on paper. If you encounter something like, man, I'm really not sure what to do with this, put it on paper, draw it out, work it out, look at it, right? Just having it sit in your brain while you're mulling it over is going to be less useful than if you take it and you maybe write it down, draw it down, figure it out, right? Start to put it into a diagram or whatever. That's going to help you see it from a little different vantage point, right? If you're a visual learner, which we've talked about a couple of weeks ago on the different types of learning, that's going to help you look at the problem in that light and could help you crack it. And then start asking yourself some of these questions. Number one, what can I do? What can I do to help solve the problem? Is there physical action I can take? Is there mental action I can take? What can I do to help get closer to solving this problem? And again, write those things down, right? Put it on paper and work it out. Second question you can ask yourself is, what can I read? What can I read that might help me solve this problem? Is there an article somewhere? Is there a textbook somewhere? Is there a training somewhere? Is there a YouTube video that I can watch that'll help me understand how to solve this problem? Where can I get the information that I need? Next question you can ask yourself is, who can I ask? Who can I ask to help me solve this problem? Who knows this information and is willing to share it with me so that I can get through this problem? Or who can lend a hand? Maybe the problem needs a second set of eyes or a second pair of hands or a second brain to work on it. So who can I contact that either knows the answer or is willing to lend me a hand in solving the problem, right? Next, pardon me. Next, he has the 5 abilities within personal development. So again, first, just to recap, we had the 3 areas of personal development: spiritual, physical, mental. Next, we have the 4 steps to success in personal development: good ideas, good plans, passing of time, and solving problems. And then now we have the 5 abilities within personal development. Number 1 is absorb. Absorb. Be a sponge, man. Learn to take it all in. Information, experience, all of it, right? This ultimately, absorption is a practice in being present. Right? One of my favorite quotes that Jim Rohn has said is like, wherever you are, be there. Wherever you're at, whatever experience you're in, whatever location you're in, whatever conversation you're in, whatever meeting you're in, whatever conference you're at, be there fully and absorb the entire experience, whatever it may be, right? And be present. If you talk to athletes, right, high-level elite athletes, they will tell you that the tiniest little lapse in concentration and not being present in the moment is the difference between winning and losing. 100%. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Masters golf tournament this weekend, but on Sunday there was a moment where one of the golfers by the name of Alberg, he was hunting down the leader. He was within a couple of shots. He was within one shot of him, and they were only one hole apart. He definitely had a chance to come after him. He gets on hole number 11. Him and his caddy have a short discussion. They're like, yep, I like it. He grabs the club, looks at the hole, and takes a swing, and he overcooks it and puts it in the water, and he ends up losing the golf tournament. Ultimately, because of that, he went downhill from there. I noticed in watching that tournament that was one of the quickest decisions that he had made in just about every shot he took. They didn't take the time to really think and be a sponge and absorb everything. Hey, this is a really important shot. There's a chance I can hit it in the water. I'm one shot behind the leader who's one hole behind me. This shot has to be in play, because if it's not, it's going to be the difference between me winning and losing the tournament. He didn't absorb. He wasn't fully present in the entire situation. The dude hooks it in the water, and then he loses the tournament. So be a sponge, absorb the entire experience. And again, as Jim Rohn says, wherever you are, be there, right? Number 2 ability in personal development is to respond. Success isn't just the knowledge, but it's the response to knowledge, right? So as you're growing your development tank in the 3 areas, spiritual, mental, physical, right? Respond to the information you're learning. I think this has a lot to do with with good plans, just putting the knowledge that you get into action, right? So you have to respond to it. The next one he says, number 3, is to reflect. And I think, in my personal opinion, this is one of the most important ones. Reflect on your learning process. Reflect on the experience, right? If you've been absorbing, you've been a sponge, and wherever you are, you're being there and you're taking all that in, then are you taking some time later to reflect on it? Are you sitting in a quiet space and thinking about maybe the information you just read? What does it really mean? How can I apply it to my life? Or how can I apply it to my business? Or you just go through, you read the book, and you're like, cool, another book read. Let's go to the next one. Read the book, toss it. Or do you take time maybe after every chapter or every section to sit and think about it and like reflect on what did I just learn? What did I just read? How is that going to affect me? How can I apply it? Can I apply it? Is it useful? Right? Reflection, it gives you an extra way to extract value out of the experience. It's one thing to be there and be part of the experience and respond to the experience, but it's next to take time to really reflect on it and think again of getting more value out of it. Rereading your notes. This is something that I'm super proud of my partner, Joe. He does it all the time. I've seen his office. He has a collection of all of his notebooks, SWAT books, learning material that he's got, and he will go back through them. A lot of people take notes and they just, next thing you know, that book is holding up the coffee table from being wobbly. But I'm super proud because Joe doesn't do that. He takes time and he goes back and reflects on it. Another way that you can do this, I think it was W. Clement Stone. If you don't know W. Clement Stone, he was the creator, founder, and owner of Combined Insurance. Right back, I think he started in the 20s, if I remember correctly, maybe the 30s, I forget. But hyper successful individual. He has a lot of great things to say, but one thing that he used to do is he would review his actions and his performance on a weekly basis. At the end of every week, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday, I forget. I think it was one of his Sunday activities. He would sit and he would look at his activity and his performance from the previous week. And he would reflect on it, and he would basically score himself. Did I achieve all the goals that I said I was going to do this week? Did I accomplish all the tasks that I said I was going to do this week? And he would kind of give himself a score and rate himself and reflect on his actions, and then he would go back and make any adjustments or corrections that he needed to make for the next week. That's a hard task, but I can promise you that I'm of the opinion that this is the most important ability in the 5 areas and the 5 abilities of personal development. And I'm going to give you an example that's related to me playing poker, right? For those that don't know, I've been playing poker for a very, 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 very long time. I started as about an 8-year-old playing in my grandpa's lap. And I've always considered myself pretty good, but eventually, poker is poker. You're not going to win every single hand. You're not going to win every tournament. You're not going to win every session. There's luck involved. There's other players that I run into that are better than me, right? Or et cetera. Or even if they're equally matched than me, it's going to be a difficult hand to play because we're going to battle for it. For a long time, I was blaming my inability to elevate my poker game based on luck and other people. I was blaming the way that the cards turned. I was blaming that guy's an idiot and doesn't know how to play, and that's why he called me with that garbage hand and got lucky, even though I had a much better equity in winning the hand. I was blaming all of that until one day I started recording. I started absorbing all of the information that I would have in a game. I would record some of the players that I'd met at the game. I would write them down. Right? I had a little memo pad that I would keep in my pocket, and I would just jot a couple of notes. Joe, seat 1, guy in green shirt, very aggressive. I started making notes on players, and then I started recording my sessions. Okay, I played this game for this many hours. I bought in for this. I lost this, etc. And I would reflect on my experience, and I started tracking my every single poker hand I ever played. So I have started first absorbing the information. And then I started reading it and building that knowledge base so that I could respond. But the first thing I really had to do is reflect on it. And I realized pretty quickly, hey, it's not that these players are getting lucky. It's not that the cards that I'm a victim of chance in the cards. It's that, hey, I'm actually making some really terrible decisions in my thought process of the game, and that's why I'm not at the level that I want to be at. It's a really hard thing to do, is for people to look within themselves and reflect on their skill set, their actions, their performance, their activities, and be honest that, hey, you're not living up to what you need to be. I'm not making the decisions that I need to make in these poker hands to be better. I'm not as good a salesperson as I thought I was. I'm not saying the things that my trainer told me to say on the phone. I'm not putting in the activity required to hit my metrics. But if you can take the time to reflect on yourself and truly be honest and grade yourself, you'll be able to then take that information and go back to step 2, which is respond to that new knowledge that you have and excel and certainly develop and have more growth. Number 4 ability in personal development is to act. We've already kind of talked about this a couple of times, right? You got to act. You have to execute. You have to take action on your feelings and your knowledge. And I would definitely say your knowledge is the most important part, but don't discount your feelings, your gut instincts as well. And it's not just the action, but it's disciplined, consistent action, right? If I'm really going to develop myself and I know that, hey, these are the steps that I need to take to hit the goals that I want to hit within sales, within growing my business, within losing weight, within eating better, improving my health, improving my mental fitness, improving my spiritual fitness, I'm going to have to put in action consistently. If you're wanting to improve your spiritual fitness, you need to be reading spiritual content and practicing it consistently. If you want to improve your physical health, you need to be working at it consistently. It's not just a one and done. It's consistent, disciplined action over and over. If I want to include or increase my mind capacity, stretch my mind, learn new topics, I need to be exercising it consistently all of the time, right? And those little small changes in behavior that you might be taking, but you're taking them on a very consistent, disciplined frequency, the effect that it has over time and space is enormous. You might see a little difference today. Like, perfect example, I spent 75 days busting my ass, working out, eating right, and reading, and taking care of myself. It's just the old 75-day challenge to kickstart my year, right? Those little incremental changes I made in food intake, that I made in getting up earlier and going to the gym every day, created a huge result at the end of it, right? Day 1, whatever. Day 1, I'm just sweaty. Day 2, yeah, I'm just sweaty. Day 3, I'm like, ooh, I kind of feel a little skinnier. I feel a little lighter. I'm starting to get some energy. It was around day 10 that it really started to kick in. And then lo and behold, by the end of it, day 75, I had lost almost 30 pounds. People were telling me my skin looked better. Like, I didn't even think about that. There were a whole bunch of other things that were huge changes that I could have never experienced if I didn't act with disciplined behavior consistently day after day. If I just did it one and done, then I wouldn't have realized a drop in my resting heart rate, 20 points. I wouldn't feel as good as I do. Think about it in another context. If you're an archer, right, or if you're shooting guns, whatever, if you're shooting at a target, right, and your goal is to hit the target dead center, but you make the tiniest little adjustment off, the tiniest little, you just missed just a little off your original line. When you expand that over space and time, that distance is now much bigger. Same concept here. These little bitty incremental actions that you take on a consistent basis, day after day with discipline, will create a much larger difference when you add space and time to it. So number 5 in the abilities of personal development is to share. Share your knowledge, your kind words, your actions, your ideas. Sharing is a unique human capacity that we have, right? And when we share, we're bigger and better people for it ultimately, right? So when you do share your experience with other people, it not only allows you to teach others maybe, right, and just sharing and enlightening them, but it also strengthens your ability to learn the information you're sharing. And it reinforces your efforts in learning and growing. I learned this, and I think I talked about this not too long ago when we were going through the 3 types of learners, but I figured this out in martial arts. My teacher was like, "Hey, go teach him this section of the form." And I'm like, "Me teach? I'm not the teacher. I'm the student in this room. What do you want me teaching for?" And he looked at me and was like, "You know that. Go teach it to him." Okay. And then lo and behold, I started teaching the guy, and then I realized, like, holy crap, I do know this material. I do know how to regurgitate it. And then it reinforced my confidence and my ability to not only teach it, but to perform it at the same time. Right. So it's a huge reinforcement to share that knowledge and that experience with other people. And here's some tips, some final tips when it comes to the sharing side of it. Have something good to say. Right? Have something good to say, because talking is like writing a check. And if you're going to put a verbal check out there, you better make sure it's ready to cash, right? Don't just put meaningless noise out in the atmosphere. When you speak, it should matter. Words matter, period, right? So don't just squawk into the atmosphere to create noise just for the purpose of hearing yourself squawk. If you're going to open your mouth and allow sounds to come out, they should be meaningful. So if you have something to say, or if you're going to have something to say, have something good to say. Next, say it well. Say it well. Be articulate and thoughtful in your words. Again, when you speak, it should matter, period. Next, read your audience. Don't be overly absorbed in what you have to say when you're sharing, right? Be interested in, or verify that the audience is interested in what you have to say. So again, are you just squawking out loud to hear yourself squawk? Or are you saying something that's meaningful, something that's impactful, something that someone is truly interested in? Is what you're saying meaningful to that person? Read the audience. And don't just verbally, vomit all over them. Next, say it with intensity. Right? Words can be impactful, especially if they're backed up with strong feelings and emotions, right? They have the power to deliver love, compassion, awareness, understanding, sympathy, courage, concern. So don't be afraid to charge your words with a bit of emotion. And this is very true in the sales environment, because if we don't charge our words when we're speaking to our clients, right, with positive emotions and confidence, then they're not going to believe us as much. Our words aren't going to be impactful. It's going to sound like we're just squawking to hear ourselves squawk. Don't do that. You choose words that are impactful. Say it with intensity. Say it with confidence. Say it well. And people can more easily buy into what you're saying because they're going to believe in it. And then finally, all of this stuff about personal development, again, it's for the person that you wish to become. I started when I said this at the beginning, where you are now is a result of all the decisions and actions you've made previously. If you're not happy with it and you want to become something bigger, then you're going to have to start making some changes and doing something different, right? So again, it's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. And the final thing I'm going to tell you is that before promise becomes price. Before promise comes price, right? I have to pay the price to get what I want. So if you're here and you're like, man, I don't want to be here. I want to be over here. Well, guess what? There's going to be a price to pay to get there. The price to pay is all of these efforts that I've just talked about in personal development skills, right? The areas that you want to develop, the steps to success in developing, and the abilities that you can pour in and gain back through development. Right. So again, whether you want to get better at sales, product knowledge, navigating life in general, being a business owner, whatever it is, it's all a form of personal development. If you want to become something more than what you are, you're going to have to pay the price to get there. Every time I say something or I think about this idea that promise, right, comes before promise comes price, I think about that scene in Shawshank Redemption. If you haven't seen Shawshank Redemption, the movie, it's an older movie, absolutely phenomenal, probably one of the top 5 best films ever made. But there's a scene where when the guy is escaping from prison, how does he escape? He escapes by breaking open one of the sewage pipes and crawling through hundreds of yards of raw sewage, blah, until he can finally get out of the prison and break through ground and escape. And there's that scene of him crawling through that sewage, crawling through crap to get to where he wants to be. Same thing, man. I mean, you don't have to crawl through raw sewage, but you're going to have to pay a price to get to where you want to get to. So that's my lesson on personal development. I stole it from Jim Rohn because he's an absolute G. So I hope that gave y'all some value today. And then, like I said, next week, we most likely won't have a live show because I'm traveling. I'll be in Las Vegas. But I might have either a replay or we might do something live up there. Stay tuned. I'll let you know. But otherwise, y'all have an awesome day. I'm going to go out and train my new guy and work on some personal development with him. And we're going to blow this thing up. See y'all next Tuesday or some Tuesday in the near future. Have a good one.